Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I'm going to be updating you on my progress in the Level Up project pan. This is a project that was created by Sofie Alexander. I will have her linked in the description box below, so please make sure to check her out and show her some love because she came up with this really fun and interesting project. Essentially what she did was she took a couple of existing products and combined them together to create the Level Up project pan, where we are not only trying to hit pan on eyeshadows, but we're also making sure that we're using every single eyeshadow in the palette a certain amount of times so that the palette as a whole is getting love and we're not simply drilling down on one shade and leaving everything else untouched. So I have already chosen my level 2 and level 3 palettes. I already completed my level 1. And I almost don't want to be doing this update because I feel like I should have hit pan by now, and spoiler alert, I haven't. So my level 2 palette is the Geodes palette from What's Up Beauty. I love this palette so much. It is so beautiful. And that's part of why I feel like I should have been able to hit pan by now. The good news is that you can see just how loved and roughed up and used and abused this beautiful palette is. I just really had thought by now I would have been able to hit pan on at least one shade, and I am sad that I haven't. So let's go through how many times I used each of these pans and kind of what my predictions are for April. So the first shade in this palette is a matte and it's called Rock. I think if I'm gonna hit pan on any of the mattes, this is likely going to be the one because it is certainly my most used matte in this palette, and it's the one that when I use it, I use the most of it. I use it typically throughout the crease and underneath the lash line or all over the lid. Like I use a lot of it when I use it, and I've used it the most of the mattes. I hope that makes sense. So I've used this shade 6 times since our last update for a total of 14 uses in this project. I'm not terribly surprised that I haven't hit pan when I look at the numbers overall, but you can see a nice dip going on in there, which is exciting. I simply just don't know how deep these pans are because I've never hit pan in a shadow from What's Up Beauty. So I think that if it was a matte that I was gonna hit pan in, this would be the one, but we certainly still have some distance to go with it. The next shade in this palette is the shade called Crystal. This is such an interesting shadow. It has sort of a pinky purpley blue duochrome flip, and I really enjoy it a lot. Whether it is packed all over the lid or just tapped over something else, it just gives something special to the look. I've only used that once since our last update for a total of 4 uses in this project, so I don't foresee that one being the one that I hit pan on first either. Next to that is Amethyst. It is a lovely shimmery purple shade that I have not used at all since our last update, and honestly I've only used it once in this project, so I need to use it a minimum of 1 more time to even hit the threshold of how many times I use each eyeshadow in this project. The shade, this beautiful yellow sunshiny lemony goodness, is the shade called Citrine. I love this shade. I have used it once since our last update for a total of 5 uses in this project. And again, it's just such a lovely fun color. I enjoy it quite a bit. Peridot I used 3 times since our last update. March, I did a ton of green looks. This was no stranger to those looks. It is such a vibrant, beautiful Kelly green, and I really enjoyed playing with it. I've only used it 3 times in total in the course of this project, so again, I don't think that that's going to be the one that I hit pan on first, but it is a contender because you guys know I love me some green eyeshadow. The last shadow in the top row of this palette is a matte called Clay. It's a really pretty sort of khaki green color. I have used it 3 additional times since our last update for a total of 6 uses in this project. Moving down to the second row, that first shimmer on the end is called Rose Quartz. That one I've used 3 times since our last update for a total of 13 uses. By far, it is my most used shimmer shade. However, more often than not, I just put it in the inner corner, which is why you don't see a lot of a dip going on in there. And I've mentioned in the past that I think of all of the shades in this palette, that would have to be my least favorite. I just don't think that it packs the same punch that the rest of the shimmer shades do. And on top of that, it tends to be a little bit flaky. So it's not my favorite to use, which is again why I've only used it 3 times since our last update, but I need to get back to using it. Agate, which is the second shade in the bottom row. I love this shade as well. This is another one of the duochromes. It has sort of a golden pinky orangey flip to it. I really like it. It's very pretty. I have used it twice since our last update for a total of 5 uses in this project. Redondite is a beautiful sort of purple, kind of a dusty mauve purple matte. And I do like it, but I do use rock more often. So for Redondite, I've used that 3 additional times since our last check-in for a total of 11 uses in the course of this project. The shade that I think that I will end up hitting pan on first is Earth-like. It is definitely one of my absolute favorite shades in this palette. It's that very indescribable sort of shade. It's got the sort of blue, purple, brown flip to it, and I really, really like it so, so much. I've used it 5 times since our last check-in for a total of 8 uses in this project, and it's where I can see the most pronounced dip. I just don't know how deep these pans are. The shade next to it, Lava, which is a just insanely beautiful yellow matte. It's kind of a mustardy yellow matte. You guys know, I'm such a sucker for grungy tones. If it looks like a bruise, it's probably one of my favorite shades. And this one has that sort of just grungy quality to it that makes my little heart sing. I have used it 3 times since our last check-in for a total of 7 uses throughout the course of the project. And then Terra on the very end is that chocolatey brown matte. I am actually wearing it today along with this gorgeous orange shadow from the Planet Spirit palette from Onside. I've used it 4 times since our last check-in for a total of 10 uses in the course of this project. Again, I don't think that that's going to be the matte that I hit pan on first, because when I use it, I use a smaller amount than I do of rock. So I feel like rock is still going to be the first one. So what are my predictions? I don't think it's going to come as a surprise that I think the 2 shades that I am most likely to hit pan on are going to be rock and earth-like. I very much hope that I can have that accomplished by our next check-in, because I really want to roll in another palette. I know, especially as we start getting into these higher levels, that they're going to be with us longer. So I definitely want to be getting us started on my level 4 palette, which means that I need to finish up level 2. Now, if I don't hit pan in rock, I think the next most likely shimmer shade would probably be Agate. I really enjoy using that one a lot as well, and I can see a really nice dip in it, but you know, Peridot might come out of the side there. What's that term? I don't know, I can't remember. But yeah, so I think that that would be what my prediction is for our next update. Now, as I said, I have already chosen my level 3 palette, and for that, this is the 1991 palette from BH Cosmetics. And thank you so, so much to everybody who commented on this in my last video to let me know who Alicia Marie is. She is a European influencer, I believe German, which is why us in the States didn't really hear a lot of marketing about this, which is honestly such a shame, because this palette is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is what it looks like. It is full of just these absolutely beautiful duochrome shades, and I have so much fun playing with it. I'm so happy that I pulled it into this project. I'll be honest, I have not used it much since our last check-in, because I've been trying to focus more on my level 2 but I like having it in here, especially for some of the other types of shades that really complement and allow me to pull the shimmers a little bit more easily. So as far as the shades in this palette that I've used, I'm only going to cover a couple that I've actually used. But the one that I need to bring your attention to is Afterlife, which is this shade here on the end that doesn't look hardly used. I'm so scared of this palette. So forgot to write it down. 5, 10, 15, 20, 24 times have I used this since our last update, and I had used it 19 times prior. Oh, the lack of dip in there terrifies me. Terrifies me. So the only other shadow that I have used in this project so far since the last check-in is Echoes, which is this lovely brown shade right here. I've used that 5 times since our last check-in. So I'm not going to talk too heavily about this palette because I'm very much hoping to start incorporating it more and more, because that would mean that I would be out of level 2. So that's kind of where we're sitting. Again, I have no idea how deep the pans are in either one of these palettes. Traditionally, BH has been pretty easy for me to hit pan on. Oh, but you guys, I'm terrified if I have used that white or that cream colored shade that many times and I don't even have a discernible dip in there. We're going to be at it for a while, which is fine because, again, it's a gorgeous palette. It's just very eye-opening, I think. So that is going to be my update for the March leg of the Level Up Project Pan. As I said, make sure to check out Sofie Alexander's channel if you have not already, for sure. And this is a project that is open to everyone. So if you have been watching from the sidelines and you want to jump in, please make sure to do so. And we would love to follow your progress. So let us both know so that we can cheer you on. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, and certainly please consider subscribing before you leave. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.